Hey everyone, my name is Chris Lambert, and on this channel we talk Kanye West. I don't know if you caught my initial reaction video to the Follow God music video that released, but it was not full of a lot of information, so I figured I'd make a second one. They talked a bit more about some of the insights we have to this video and break it down a little bit and give some reactions to it. So first thing, just some details and information thanks to Team Kanye Daily, who is always on it. The film was directed by Jake Schreier, and director of Paper Towns and Robot and Frank. Robot and Frank, I think, was like a 2014 movie, 2015 movie. But he's also directed music videos with Francis and the Lights. And then you have the intro by Pastor Kerwin B. Lee. And that is the speech. Actually, let me go to my profile here. So you get this. The video starting with just a voiceover as Kanye and his father Ray walk along through the snow. And the speech goes, "What does it really mean to follow God? Like, as I stand here today, I'm reminded of the first time my children ever got an opportunity to be in snow. And when we walked outside in the snow, they were very fearful in terms of the steps they would take. And what I did was I walked in front of them, and I took steps, and I said to them, instead of creating your own footprints, walk in the footprints I've already made." So just getting at the idea that it can be scary to forge a new path, and that's one of the things that faith allows, is that when you have that faith in God, his omnipotence and omnipresence means that you're never walking alone, that he's already been through everything, been everywhere. So by advancing forward on your own path, even if you don't necessarily see the footsteps, you can have this faith that you're following in the footsteps of God. You're following God. But there's also something about the much more tangible father-son dynamic in this physical, mortal world of a parent and a child, and what the parent has done and the parent's role in making it easier for the child to progress. And that there will eventually be a time, I'm sure, much like in No Country for Old Men, where you're the person that has to walk ahead of somebody else, right? You're now the older generation that's guiding the way for everybody else. So there's a cool idea of just the passing of the torch and the responsibility that each of us has to eventually be a follower, but also a leader for others and someone. So I think that's kind of well, also getting at, the larger implications of faith and the reward of faith and the trust that you can have in God. I think it's a really beautiful way to start the video, especially because it seems when we get to the end of the video, Kanye has a speech about saying, "It took me 42 years to realize that my dad was my best friend." And having that connection between them, that's not just the religious aspects of this speech, right? But also getting at the very human element of a father and a child and what a father does for a child. And Kanye kind of acknowledging that and respecting that. There's just that nice extra layer added to this video and to this song through the speech and through that final element at the end, which is cool. But some of the other things, I had asked somebody where the speech came from at the beginning, and it said Edzon said it was a speech he made at this event, which I don't have any information knowing if that's true or not. This was the Wall Street Journal Innovator Awards, so maybe it was something that he mentioned there, and I guess something that he may have gotten from Pastor Kerwin Lee, or maybe just enlisted Kerwin Lee. But it feels very biblical. It feels almost like the opening of a movie. I actually searched for it and couldn't find anything that it was related to. So maybe it's just something that Kerwin Lee has said. Maybe it comes from somewhere else. Others had thought maybe it was something that Ray, Kanye's father, had said, but because it says children, right, and Kanye's an only child, I don't think that necessarily applies. But there was another post by Mike Paskowitz here who said, "Am I the only one who sees a contrast through similarities between this and the OTIS video? Then saying it took 42 years to realize my dad was my best friend at the end." So just, at the beginning of this video, going to turn the volume down a little bit, but at the beginning of this video, you can see that it's Ray and Kanye walking up to the car and getting into it. And at the start of the Otis video, it's Jay and Kanye walking up to the car and then getting into it. And so much of this video involves, well, driving, right? And they even do this spot where they're doing the donuts around. And then you get to this part and it's just Kanye and his dad, and they're still just driving along. It's a much slower pace, an entirely different pace than the Otis video, where there's so much excitement and indulgence in the first one. In this one, there's more meditation and stillness and peace, until you finally end with this thing doing its little mini donuts, which is ridiculous. It's an absurd moment, but there's still something very nice. It's more of the pace that you have with a father, and the pace that you have maybe as a 42-year-old husband and father of four, as opposed to where Kanye was at this point and where Jay was at this point, where they're still living that indulgent, over-the-top lifestyle, chopping up this luxury car and being so excited about everything that they can do, rather than just looking at the stuff that they should be doing. It's a cool, purposeful, I think, now that it's been pointing it out to me, contrast of just being aware of like, yeah, that was at the height of me in this one phase, but now I'm gonna explore the new wave of that, like taking the old and making it new again, and showing through that contrast where I'm at in my life right now. I like that. My favorite part, of course, is Kanye doing the prayer hands. It's so funny to me. I hope that certainly becomes a thing that people start doing. The same way that when the I Love It video dropped and everybody was putting on their stupid homemade big boxy, what is it, Roblox or something, outfits, and just kind of dancing around. I love it. Nah. All right, so then the end is probably the last thing to talk about. It says, my dad came to visit me at one of our ranches in Cody, Wyoming. He talked about his love for fishing and how he would like to come here in the summers. Now, Kanye's dad and mom divorced when Kanye was 3 years old. And they had lived in Atlanta before Kanye's mom moved out to Chicago. And Kanye would still go spend summers with his dad in Atlanta. And they would go see museums a lot of the time together. That was their favorite thing to do. I think it was in Raising Kanye, which I have over on the bookshelf over here. Donda mentioned that they would go to multiple museums in a day sometimes and just really talk about the art and the thought process behind the art and all of that. But it still seems like there was a distance between them for a long time, right? Like we weren't seeing Ray be around as much as we saw Kanye with Donda. And there certainly wasn't a song shouting out his dad in the same way of Hey Mama. He was getting mentioned at times, but, you know, it still wasn't to the same degree and level. And I think for most of Kanye's career, from that 2004 to, 2018 period, like 99% of Kanye's career, we haven't really seen him with his dad, which might just be, we don't know Kanye on that personal level. It might just be that his dad didn't want to be in the spotlight. It might just be that they had their own thing going on. But to have Kanye take the time to write this, and just the idea that his dad will want to come out and spend summers with him now, rather than Kanye going and spending summers with his dad. And for him saying, it took me 42 years to realize that my dad was my best friend. It really does feel like there's been something really gained for Kanye in getting back to not just religion, but to his roots in a lot of ways, family, like just finding stillness and finding the things that are most important to him, and discovering this relationship and being able to have this moment with his dad is really like a beautiful thing. And I think that's one of the powers of art. Like you look at the Otis video, and that's really art that's being used for indulgence, right? They're getting the car, they're getting the girls in the car, they're just going around doing this absurd and ridiculous stuff that you could never do in life, but it's enjoyable. There's a fun energy to it. We all like watching it because I don't know, there's some vicarious joy taken from watching somebody else do it, and would like to do that, but that's art that's still made with this idea of showing off, and the end is just to like convey this feeling, indulge, and get paid, popular. But now this is art that's being made that he can connect with his dad, and it's something that he can share with his dad. And it just shows the flexibility of art. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be commercial. It's something that you can use to spend time with somebody that you care about and do something with them that's going to be enduring, rather than just a dinner or something like that. I like the idea that Kanye is using art in these different ways at this point, and really getting to find catharsis in many ways through what he's making at this point in his life. And then we get to the final parts of this. He asked me, how many acres is this? My cat. I told him 4,000, which I thought it had been 9,000, but 4,000 is still a lot of acres. He replied with these 3 words: a black man. And I think that just goes to the idea of owning land and ownership of land have been such a foreign concept for anybody that wasn't white in America for so many years. And especially, my cat's freaking out, especially with the era that Ray was born into and what he grew up and witnessed. I think, it said that Ray was a Black Panther for a little while and really like an activist. And to reach this point where he's watching his son achieve to the degree that his son can buy 4,000 acres of land in America. There's something really awesome about that. And it's just, I'm sure there's people that can talk about, should he have done it? Like, what's the point of doing it? But sometimes the point of doing it is that you can, and that can be inspirational in a lot of ways to a lot of other people. Sure. Like, does he need to own 4,000 acres? Who really needs to own all of that? But the fact that it's letting other people know, like, I can do that. I can go from what he went from as just some random kid in Chicago to having this degree of success by being me and by making what I want to make and just working hard day after day after day. I mean, that's a dream, right? So I like it. I like the video. I like the message. I like the other elements added in. That's a cool thing, because the song, when it's on the album alone, it's in the context of the album that's going on. And in the context of the album, this song is still getting at the tension that Kanye has in trying to live this Christian life. And he's still having this conflict with his dad, and there's still these ups and downs. It's not quite all Yandi, so to speak, right? Not until we get to everything we need and water, and you get that transition to more of the stillness. The first half of the album is marked by tension, and the second half of the album is marked more by peace and stillness. I forget where I was going with this because I've just been talking for so long. But in the music video, it changes tone and context because of these other elements that are added into it. So the music video ends up having its own tone and a different kind of message than what the song on the album has, which just shows the difference in an album and a difference in a music video and how the medium can change the message and how the context and intercontextuality of where the song exists can change the message. So this having the intro and the outro that it does with the speech and with this message just kind of changes how we should view the song, at least in the music video, and adds a different kind of understanding and appreciation for it. So that's all that I got. I'll leave you here. If you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, criticisms, any and all of the above, go ahead and leave them down below. And if you want to support the channel, the easiest way to do that is just liking, subscribing, commenting. All of those things tell YouTube that this is a worthwhile channel, and then they show it to more people, which helps us in turn. And then we'll have, for our podcast, more episodes starting soon, specifically on Jesus is King. This upcoming Monday, we're going to be recording our initial overview episode, followed then by our song-by-song analysis for the next 11 weeks after that. And then we also just dropped an interview with Kanye's cousin, the world famous Tony Williams. I got to interview Tony. He was actually in this room right here sitting with me. I think we're actually going to upload the video to YouTube. So stay tuned for that. But it's a really cool interview. Tony had a lot of insight just into being an artist, and you get to hear where he came from, what his sensibilities are, the inspiration he's been for Kanye, the way that Kanye's inspired him. There's a lot of great nuggets. So yeah, have a great day. Cheers. Stay wavy, stay loopy, all of that.